First play is on the 4 signs of Buddha. It's the boys of SSE. Our second play will be on Mother Ishwarama with the girls. So we have 2 skits. Don't want to stand up here too long talking, so I hope you enjoy the presentation by the SSE of Region 8, Siram.
There are not many people in the world who do not want to be happy. In our lives, at some stage, we have all felt some level of pain and suffering. What is suffering? What is its root cause? And how can we ever be free from it? Around 2,500 years ago, there lived a man who wanted to find the answer to this very question. His name was Prince Siddhartha, or now commonly known as the Buddha, or Enlightened One. In fact, yesterday was Buddha Purnima. Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha-to-be, was born to King Suddhodana and Queen Mayadevi of the Sakya clan. They lived in the city of Kapilvatthu at the foot of the Himalayas. At the time of his birth, 8 sages came to see the newborn baby. They made an astounding prediction. They predicted that this child would one day grow to be a wise man, and if he decided to live in the world, he would be a great king. But if he decided to leave the world and seek enlightenment, he would become a Buddha, a great enlightened being. At the thought of this, the king became very frightened and decided there and then that he would give his child all he possibly could to distract him from renouncing the world. He would make his life so happy and free from suffering that he would not want to leave the palace. A few years passed, and Siddhartha grew to become a charming child. He had all of the material possessions he could desire, and in all other matters was like any other child except in one instance. This child seemed to possess a marked compassion and sympathy for all living beings. As the years passed, the compassionate child grew into a charming young man. The king, remembering the prediction of the wise men at the time of the prince's birth, made sure that his life was filled with pleasure and that the prince saw no sorrow. And so, when Siddhartha turned 16, the king arranged for the prince to be wedded to the beautiful princess Yashodhara. The king had built a beautiful palace where the prince and his bride were to spend their days. Siddhartha was told by his father to live within the confines of this palace and not to venture out. The king did not want the prince ever to see any sign of suffering. For a while, the prince and princess lived happily in their palace. The prince, however, gradually began to get curious as to the outside world and yearned to discover what was beyond the confines of the palace walls.
May it please you, sire, but I have a request to make.
Yes, son. You know I will give you anything you desire.
Sire, do not think me ungrateful. You have bestowed upon me the most comfortable life and surrounded me with all the worldly possessions my heart could desire. But sire, I have one more desire with your permission.
Name it. I only want to make you happy.
For some time now, I have lived within the 4 walls of this palace. I long to see the life of people outside the palace. Please, Father, grant me permission to leave the palace and see the life of your subjects.
Son, I am shocked. What need have you to leave the palace walls? You have everything you need here. What reason is there for you to leave the palace?
Yes, sire, you have certainly given me all that I need or want, but the life I have lived surely does not reflect the life that is led by your subjects in your kingdom. Please permit me to see this for myself, if only for a few short visits.
Like this, Siddhartha pleaded for some hours. The king was scared to let his son go. The prediction of the wise men kept him from fulfilling his son's desire. He had managed to keep his son within the palace up until now, but he saw that further resistance would be futile in the face of his son's desperate pleading.
Yes, son, very well. If it is your desperate wish to go, I will permit you to do so, but with the proviso that your visits are short and that you return to the palace. Servant, come here.
Yes, sire. How may I serve you?
Call the royal charioteer.
As you wish, sire.
With this, the prince undertook 4 trips outside the palace.
Pranam, Maharaja. How can I serve you today?
My son wishes to leave the palace to visit parts of the kingdom. Take him where he wishes to go, but Make sure he returns the same day.
As you wish, Your Highness.
With this, the prince undertook 4 trips outside the palace. He wanted to discover the world beyond the palace walls. He wanted to know what life was like and what life for most people was about. And so, along with the royal charioteer Channa, Siddhartha began to visit various parts of the kingdom. These visits, although the prince didn't know it, were to change the course of his life. He was to experience what most Buddhists now call the signs of suffering. On the first visit out with the charioteer Channa, the prince spotted an old man.
Tell me, Channa, what is wrong with this man? Why is his skin wrinkled, and why does he walk so?
Sire, this man is old. We will all end up in this sort of state, as we are all bound to get old. His appearance of youth has faded. He walks with pain quite slowly, as his limbs are now failing him.
The prince had never seen such a sight in his life before. He did not even know that all humans were destined to become old. Still astounded, the prince ventured another visit out of the palace grounds.
Channa, what is wrong with this man? Why is he groaning? He seems to be suffering.
Sire, this man is suffering from serious illness. Illness is something that affects the normal working of the body, and it impairs the normal human ability.
The prince looked on in amazement for some time. Again, his curiosity grew further, and he decided to make a 3rd visit outside the confines of the palace walls.
Why is this man on a stretcher being carried away, Channa? Why does he lie so still? Can he not walk? Why are all these people crying around him?
Sire, this man has left his earthly body. He is no more and has passed on to the other realms. He has died, Your Highness.
Siddhartha returned to the palace. The prince had become deeply shocked and affected by what he had seen. Some time passed, and his wife gave birth to a baby boy. All the while, Siddhartha's father, the king, made every attempt to keep Siddhartha's attention turned towards the world away from the deeper questions of life. Siddhartha, however, still had his thoughts on the events he had seen outside the palace and began to wonder. Was there nobody who is free from suffering? Is it possible to go beyond suffering, to become unaffected by the ups and eventual downs of life? As he was thinking this way, he saw a monk walk past. The monk was so happy. He did not seem to have a care in the world. He had very few possessions, but a beaming smile on his face. Siddhartha asked Channa the charioteer, who happened to be nearby.
Who is this man, Channa? Why is he so happy?
The man is a monk, sire. The monk has left his family and given up his desire for pleasures to search for freedom from worldly suffering.
Siddhartha began to wonder. He asked himself, why were the old man, the sick man, and those mourning for the dead man suffering? What is the cause of suffering? Is there any way out? The monk certainly seemed to be happy. Maybe he has the answer. That very night, the prince made a decision. He decided that he was going to leave the palace. He was going to follow the life of those wandering monks and find the cause of suffering and how to end it forever. He left that very night, leaving the palace, his father, his wife, and child behind. At first, he came across 5 ascetics, and he decided to copy their practices to see if he could find and answer the problem of suffering. He punished his body in many ways and nearly died of starvation. Finding none of these ways worked, the prince decided he would try to find the way himself. To this end, he sat under a large Bodhi tree and closed his eyes. As he meditated, Siddhartha let go of all outside disturbances and memories of pleasures from the past. He let go of all worldly thoughts and turned his mind to finding the ultimate truth about life. He asked himself, how does suffering start? How can one be free from suffering? At first, many distracting images appeared in his mind. Finally, his mind became very calm, like a pond of still water. In the calm of deep meditation, Siddhartha concentrated on how his life had started. First, Siddhartha remembered his previous lives. Now, he saw how beings are reborn according to the law of cause and effect, or karma. He saw that good deeds lead the way from suffering to peace. Finally, he became completely free from thinking in a way that caused him any suffering. This freedom is called nirvana. So at the age of 35, Siddhartha became the Buddha, the Supreme Enlightened One. Buddha went out to teach what he had learned, and what he had learned is still practiced to this day by all Buddhists and spiritual people. They are known as the Four Noble Truths. The first is that suffering exists. The second is that the causes of suffering are desire, greed, and jealousy. The third is that there is a way out of suffering. The final noble truth, that the way out of suffering is to follow the path of Dharma. To this end, the message of Buddha's life was a practical one. All have suffered at one time or another. Every being wants to be truly happy and free from suffering. Buddha, much the same as Baba, showed the way to true happiness. He told us that the common denominators for all suffering were and are desire, ignorance, and a separateness from God. If you analyze any random moment of sadness, you will find its cause in one or more of these factors. The way to eradicate this cause is and will always be the path of Dharma.
Sairam, how did you like our tiger and our monkey? And that is our Bodhi tree. One of the things that we've worked on, of course, the Buddha reached God, nirvana, by purifying his senses. He thought to himself, and that was the most important thing. He thought to himself that if I see God with my eyes, if I hear God with my ears, this is how Swami said he purified himself and he reached God. But the most important point of that was his thought. And that's what we keep trying to teach our children, is everything begins with thought. If you can control your thoughts, or at least analyze your thoughts, you can control your destiny. And that's what the Buddha did. And of course, his was the way of compassion, that fifth value that Swami mentions. So next, we have our play for the Mother Ishwarama. And I'm just checking to see if we're actually ready. Okay, Sairam.
On May 6, 2001, Swami declared Ishwarama was the chosen one. I chose her to be my mother. That is the intimate relationship between Mother Ishwarama and myself.
Wow, that is a very special blessing. Tell me more about Mother Ishwarama.
Sure. Ishwarama had a heart of gold. Never was there even the slightest trace of ego in her that she was the Divine Mother. She mingled with no reservations with everyone. She remained a simple village woman who shunned special recognition or publicity and always wanted to help everyone. Have you heard about the 3 noble wishes of Mother Ishwarama?
I know one. Mother Ishwarama felt sorry for the little children who walked a long distance to the neighboring village to attend school. Whether it was sun or rain, the children had a long trek. It deeply saddened Mother Ishwarama. Though illiterate and coming from a simple rural village, Ishwarama firmly believed in education for children.
So one day she went to Swami and asked him,
Swami, our Puttaparthi is a small village. Since there is no school here, the children are forced to walk long distances to attend schools in the neighboring villages. I know that you are the ocean of compassion. Please construct a small school in this village.
Where is the place to build this school?
Swami, there is a small piece of land behind my house that is available. Please accept it. As desired by Mother Ishwarama, Swami built the first school in the village of Puttaparthi. Though it was a small school, the inaugural function was a grand affair attended by many devotees.
Let me tell you about another noble wish. Puttaparthi was such a small village that it did not have any hospital to take care of the sick or even a maternity ward. If there were any complications, the pregnant woman would be taken in bullock carts to Bukuttanam or Anantapur. So she went to Swami.
Swami, I don't want to put you to any trouble. If you are troubled, the whole world will be in pain. And if you are happy, the entire humanity will be happy. So if it gives you happiness, please construct a small hospital.
As you wish.
Ishwarama was perhaps the person most gratified when Baba announced that a 12-bed hospital would be raised on a hill to the south of the mandir. Ishwarama joined the women devotees hauling sand, stone, bricks, and cement from the road up to the construction site and lifted bricks herself, brushing aside protests from younger, stronger women. When the warriors were ready, she sought out women patients, brought them to the doctor, pleaded that they be admitted, and looked after them until they could move about and take their normal share in the work at home and in the fields.
Ishwarama was very happy that Swami had fulfilled two of her most cherished desires. One day she went to Swami and said, Swami, it does not matter if I die now. I have no more worries. You have fulfilled my desires and have lessened the suffering of the villagers to a great extent. If you have any more desires, ask me now.
Swami, I have only one small wish. You know that river Chitravati is in spate during the rainy season, but in summer it dries to a trickle and people do not have drinking water. So please see that some wells are dug in this village.
I would not stop with these small wells, and that I would provide drinking water to the entire Rayalaseema region. The three grand endeavors of offering free education, medical care, and clean drinking water to those in need were inspired by the compassion of the Divine Mother.
Truly, the whole life of Ishwarama is a shining example and idea for all of us to emulate.
Amazing love for Swami and constantly seeking happiness and welfare of others.
This is the summary of her life.
Sairam, thank you very much. I hope you'll excuse a few pauses there and few bumps in the road, but for the most part, I'm very proud of their effort, and it means a lot to them, and I appreciate all the love that you've given to them. So, Sairam.